Hi guys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. We're back in the shed today on the floor pans for the Beetle, and they've arrived. They came out of Brisbane, and we're just getting them set up ready to put in. I just wanted to show you the detail on this one. These are the 74 model floor pans. These ones come with a heavy duty jack point, and that's a different style to the original style. That's the original style that comes off the original floor. These ones are quite good, so they allow a better system for jacking the car, which is important on the Beetles. There's not many places to jack these cars up, but anyway, we're going to go with these modern ones. They tuck up underneath the running boards, and they should work quite well. Incorporated into this floor pan section is the actual wings that come off the back of the wishbone. I'm not going to utilise those because it's very difficult to get a datum point to make sure that the floor pan goes back into the wishbone in the correct position according to the body fitting the floor pan. The original ones on this wishbone are quite good, so we're going to stick with those, and we're just going to separate this from the floor pan. If you come over here, I'll show you the right hand side done. We've prepped it already. So that's the wing that's come off. We can use that at a later date on something else if there's a rusty wing. And you can see here that the wishbone here has been sandblasted, it's been primed, all in readiness for the new floors to go in. And we've come up with doing all the edges. We've cleaned all the edges, and they have weld through primer. They also have the punch holes for the spot welds. I believe in doing these with a spot weld rather than actually just running welds along that edge into the frame. It's just the way I like to do things. It looks more like factory, and I just think it's a better job. It's a stronger job as well if you make sure the spot welds are correct and they're done right. Lots of penetration. So of course we have to clamp this down and get it to sit in. Wobbles all over the place, but it'll get progressively welded in from the centre to the outside, and from the centre here to the outside. So you can see that once the floor goes in, that's going to be quite a tidy unit and a decent sort of a setup. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, if you're doing these at home, is I cut sections out of the old floors give me a reference point for, first of all, this accelerator and where the pedal box goes. So I've cut the old piece out of the floor, out of the old floor. When that sits in there, it gives me an idea. With these swages, I can make it sit where they're supposed to, where they are sitting in place, and that shows me where the pedal box bracket plate goes, and also the accelerator pedal bracket. So that's another good little tip for you. If you keep cut these sections out of the old floors so that you can utilise them as a reference point for where these things need to be welded back in, because they don't come with the new floors. You have to save those pieces. Don't forget to cut them out, and that gives you a reference point of where they need to go back into, so that everything lines up when you go to bolt it in. Otherwise you're going to be in all sorts of trouble. If that's a little bit skew whiff, it's not going to bolt in, is it? So that's one tip there with those sections. Another section that I like to keep off the old floors is I just take the bolt hole edge out of the old floor so that I can check with the new aftermarket floor that the bolt holes are very similar, if not perfectly in the same position. You will find with aftermarket parts that sometimes that doesn't happen correctly. They might be 2 or 3 mil off, and then you've got to start elongating holes out to make it fit the body. So I've just checked this one, and they're very good, these. They line up quite well. There's there's probably a millimetre reference difference at the back here, but that won't be too much of a problem. You can see the holes through the floor there. You can see they line up pretty much where they need to be. can see this one here, see that one's in line, that one's in line, these are kind of in line. So that gives us a detail and gives us a reference point with this to make sure that the actual floor pan is going to work. So that's the reason why we cut those out as well and save them. When we do the other side floor and get it into position like this one is, we're only clamping it into position. I have crossover measurement bar with little points on it. I can put this under the car and lock these pins into position on each hole on a diagonal reference. And once I've got that diagonal reference, I can come back to the floor pan when it's upside down and double check to make sure the bolt holes are in the right place. It's pretty damn critical because, you know, you go to fit your body on, everything's all painted and it's all welded back into position, and you find that one of these bolt holes is, or two or three of the bolt holes might be just a little bit off to that side, because you can move these in and out. You can see that that can be moved in and out. And if it's not welded in the right position, if it's 2 mil that way or 2 mil this way, it makes a big difference right across from there to there. So that's what we use just to measure to make sure. I don't have the luxury of a hoist to being able to put the body back up underneath before I weld it to check those holes. So this is what we use. Okay. So you can see by this is what the panels fit like when you get them first up. They have excess material. You can see here that we have to trim this edge off a little bit to get it to sit down into position. It's overlapping right across the top of the wing there. We'll get that sorted out. So we'll do a little trim on this. I always trim the back side first. You can see by this hole here that it needs to go back anyway to get into position. So we'll do that section first and we'll pop it back in, and you can just travel with us and just see how we make this happen, how we get it to fit as the other side is fitting there now. Just come around the other side. I've trimmed it up and got it into a situation where it fits really nice now. So we've got our little tech screws in, holding it into position all the way around the perimeter. And that's settled in quite nicely now. That's ready to be welded in. I will be getting underneath the body of the car and checking those data points with our diagonal measurements, and just rechecking this before any welding gets done. I use these tech screws, and that makes it a lot easier to actually have it in position and be able to turn it over if I want to, and we can get the measurements right. But you can see it's fitting down nice and tight into the areas there. And we travel from the centre out when we do the welds so that we can make all this excess metal run into that corner there. And the same with the front. With the front, I'm not drilling holes for these plug welds on the front. We're going to be running a weld across there and across here, which is what the factory does here as well. They spot weld it there, but I'm going to run a weld across there and make it nice and solid. Okay, so well, these are the jack plates, so I decided to cut them off completely and get them out of the way. It makes it easier to get the floor pan into position, because these actually overlay, they sit back into those wings on the other side there. So these come all the way back into here when they get welded back into position. We actually have to cut a section out to allow for the swing arm bracing here. So we'll turn it over and get those sorted out and get them back in nicely. So I'll just put them aside for now. And we'll get this off and trim it, and you can travel with me and just see how it actually gets to fall into place. I use my trusty Milwaukee shears. Right, that's taken about 2 mil off. Let's pop it back in and see where we're up to now. It needs to be a trial and error thing. You don't want to be in a situation where you've cut too much out. You're in a lot of trouble if that happens. So you can see we've only just barely taken 2 mil off the edge of that, and it's automatically sat down and into the position where it's supposed to be at. We still needed to come back a little bit. So we've got about 2 mil difference there now. But what we're also going to have to do to make it move in to where it's supposed to fit here, you can see it doesn't line up here. We've got about 5 mil difference there. Because we're going to have to run a cut down through here so that it can move back into the corner more. You can see by that action there that we've still got plenty of room to move over, so it just needs to be, we need to take that sharp cut off that corner there, and we need to take some out of this corner so that it moves further in. But only back to about here. So I'll get the marker and actually just mark that. I use my trusty fridge magnets when I have a go at this, and it enables me to get a nice line without too much drama. You can make it taper off to where it's got to go. So we're just going to take that corner off there. It's about, we should be going about 4 or 5 mil there. We'll just mark that in there. So I've got to trim that edge off, so it'll come out for that. And then we've got to take this corner off here too. That sharp edge. It's only minimal there. I'll do that with the sander. Because you can see here that we've got enough room. Once this gets taken out of the way, it's got enough room to move over there and go into position. So it's trial and error, in and out. I'll get this one back out again and we'll trim that edge off and put it back in again and see what it looks like. Sticker on the bench. I'll just use the snips on that actually, it's not a very long distance. The right hand snips. Again, you need to do it a little bit at a time. You don't want to be cutting too much out. It's difficult to put metal back in, but it's easy enough to take it off. So I'll do the same on this. We'll take this edge out of here. Give that a little hit with the sander, just to tidy it up. The sanding disc in. With all of these aftermarket parts, you'll always end up with a situation where you have to massage. Just look at an aftermarket part for sale and see it on the website and think, oh yeah, that's just going to bolt straight on, because it won't. You need someone that's got a bit of an idea to massage it into place. You would have seen on the Mustang that we did, the 66 Coupe, in the previous videos, the trouble that we had with the mudguards and the bonnet door skins. They all have to be massaged and to get the gaps right and get things to fit where they're supposed to fit. Turn that puppy down a bit, it's a bit noisy. Okay, let's try them in again. You can see that's falling into position quite easily. So we're starting to get to where we need to be at with this. You can see that edge has moved over, purely and simply because we took that little 4 or 5 mil piece out of that corner so that it moved over. And you can see it's moved over here where it needs to be at as well. So just little trims every now and again. and you'll achieve what you want to achieve. So I'm noticing here that across this we're actually touching all the way through here now. So that's telling me that we need to take a little bit of section out of there. So you can see that every time you do a little bit, something comes about, and it's all telltale, and it shows you where you need to actually make the adjustment to make this come back into position. Could even still be a bit tight across the back corner here as well, so I'm going to take another slither off that, probably a marker pen thickness, and that'll bring it back and make this hole line up where it's supposed to be at. Alright, so you've seen the massaging that we need to do. Just take your time with it, do little bits at a time, little small increments to make it fit back into where it's got to go. I'll continue on with this one and getting it fitting like the other side, and then we'll do the turnover and we'll do the measurements. We'll show you on the video how we go about that, and then we'll be welding it in.